What's on, guys? J-Hoyd back with you. Today, welcome back to Call of Duty Vanguard. We have some more great ranked play for you in the background. And since we have this mid-season break, or whatever you want to call this weird, awkward time in the middle of the year where there's basically no Call of Duty, the one thing it does give us is a chance to make changes. So we already had an announcement that Berlin Control is going to be added to the competitive rotation. We have a Pro-Am that's now happening with the 12 CDL teams plus the top 4 teams that qualified in, what was it, the Minnesota Major or something like that. And what else do we have going on? And we have some teams that are trying out some new players. So let's start with 3 teams that I believe will not make a change basically no matter what. And that's going to be Optic Texas, Atlanta FaZe, and London Royal Ravens. I believe these 3 teams are going to stick no matter what, unless something absolutely crazy happens. Maybe London makes a change, but definitely for Optic and Atlanta, no way. So I don't have anything written down for those 3 teams, but I think the other, what would that be, 9 teams could possibly make a change. Some of them, we don't really have exact players that we could put in these teams, but we can talk about what teams should and should not do going forward. So we do have some notes here, but of course, let's start with the current standings in the CDL. So on your screen now is the current CDL standings. So you have Atlanta FaZe number 1, Optic Texas number 2, London Royal Ravens number 3, Boston Breach number 4, LA Guerrillas number 5, LA Thieves number 6, Florida Mutineers number 7, Seattle Surge number 8, Toronto Ultra number 9, Minnesota Rocker number 10, New York Subliers number 11, and of course, in last place, it's the Paris Legion. So like we said, Atlanta, Optic, London, don't think any of those teams are making a change. Now, but let's talk about our 4th place team. This is going to be the Boston Breach. Now, I have notes on, and I'm looking over at, so we can kind of gather our thoughts here. And do I think Boston needs a change? No. Right? They've been playing good enough to be considered in our top 6 for all of our teams. But here's the thing. They're a good team. They can win more often than not, but their record is kind of showing they're 10-8 for series count. Their map win percentage isn't the greatest. They're only positive by a few maps. Like, they're just breaking even. So they're a good team, but they're not like a great team that would be expected or even predicted to be in the grand finals or to even win a major. So this team, do they need a change? No. If they want to be a good team, they're there. Do they want to be in playoffs / champs, whatever, however it's going to work, they'll probably be there at this point, right? They got, what, 120 points so far. I mean, they're, what, 50 away from 6th place. So they'd have to have a really, really crappy rest of the year in order to fail out, and a lot of these other teams at the bottom would have to step up major. But here's the thing. I put no unless they can find somebody that can take them to the next level. And what I mean by that is some of these players are not playing great. They're not superstars. They have 2, I guess, veterans. They have 2 rookies. Can they make a change within that lineup? Maybe a 1-person change. Maybe they get lucky with someone being dropped that they think could upgrade their team. Something could happen with another team that might trigger them to be like, okay, let's get that player, bring him onto our team, start him, change us around, do that, and they might be able to take this team to compete for that top 3, for those predicted grand finals, and possibly could be in the title contention race. But unless they can find that player that they feel strongly about, then no, I don't feel like they should make a change. But if there's a chance, I'd go for it. Our 5th place team, now the LA Guerrillas. I put, do they need a change? No. But they also announced they already made a change, so I guess that kind of answers our question. But they did put Spart in for gunless. So now they have Hook, ASIM, Spart, and Slasher. And they also said, I think it was their coach or maybe it was somebody else, they had said that they are looking forward to this group of 5 being the 4 I just mentioned, Hook, ASIM, Spart, and Slasher, along with Gunless, while he continues to recover from whatever. I think he went through some type of surgery or whatever. So I hope everything is good with him. Obviously a great player, has kind of had a rough up and down career so far. Always been considered to be a great player, but could never really find a solid team, a consistent team, and a team that fights at the top. So again, do I think they needed to make a change? No, I think it was more health related, and the substitute in this case, Spart, came in, performed really well, won the MVP award, helped him win a tournament. Kind of can't, you can't drop Spart back to the bench in that case when he just won the MVP, came out of not came out of nowhere, but came out, did a lot of really good things for them, and then won the tournament. It's hard not to keep him in the lineup to see how that's going to progress, later on. So our next team, other LA brethren in this case. Do I think LA Thieves need a change? Yes. But here's the thing. They already announced that they've made a role change. They put Kenny to a second SMG, and they moved Draza to the flex position. So now it's going to be Envoy and Kenny on the subs, Draza and Octane on the ARs. Now, a lot of people are saying, yes, this might help, but will it be long-term help? I don't know if it would. I mean, Draza was a very interesting player, but I don't think he belongs on this team. Now, we all thought he was going to be a good submachine gun with Envoy, but potentially you drop him back to the bench. Maybe you bring in Pentagram, their sub. Maybe you try to get another player. But LA Thieves right now, I mean, yes, they're in 6th place. I'm making it sound like they're at the bottom and they're just not performing. But on paper, this team should be competing for the top 4 for the entire year, right? We said that. They should be one of the best teams on paper. But it hasn't really been working out. So they're trying this role change. I'm going to guess they're going to kind of see how it looks at the Pro-Am Classic. If nothing happens there, then maybe going into stage 3, they're talking about some different options. Kenny, I feel like, has been a really strong AR for them. I feel like he's been their best player. Then some other players have been kind of lacking a little bit. So I don't know what they're going to do, but they've made a role change so far. As far as players go, it all depends on who you think is going to fit best in your team. Personally, I think it's Draza. I think Envoy's been pretty good. Octane's kind of been underperforming, and Kenny's been your best player. So I don't know what you want to do, but going forward, they need to make a change, probably bigger than just the role change. Our next team, the Florida Mutineers. Now, this team currently sits in 7th place right now, but they're also in, what is that, 3 or 4? Yeah, 3-way tie with a couple of other teams here. So do I think they need a change? Yes. Now, here's the reason why. This team has the potential to upset. They have the potential to compete with the top dogs. But also, they're one of those middle-of-the-pack teams that is just kind of like good but not great. Like similar to Boston, but a little bit scaled downwards, right? They have the capability there, but just something's not working out. So here's the question. But what? What's the change that these guys need to make this team the best? So going into this year, you had Awakening on a submachine gun, which he hasn't really been one. He's always been a flex. Skies has always been a really good AR, but is him and Awakening working well together? Along with Vivid, who is one of their main submachine guns, it's not really working out too much. So what do you do there? I think a possible 2-man change is needed. Now, I think I think definitely Vivid, but then maybe other than him, maybe Skies or Awakening. Or Dave Patty, right? Dave Patty's been okay, but not great. What do you want to do? Do you want to keep the young guy who might have a chance to improve with a new roster? Or maybe you drop him back to challengers, give him some more time to play, bring him in at a later time to see if your team's still struggling, move your players around, try out different things. But I think Vivid has to go, drop him to the bench. Other than that, maybe you try to get back Neptune. Or was he on Seattle? Or was he in Florida? I don't know. But you try to pick up a player, try to put him in a sub role, and then maybe see how that works. If maybe not, you move Awakening back to an AR. Do you move maybe Dave Patty to a sub? I don't know if he's ever ran a sub before, if he's just an AR player. But some way, somehow, you need to move this team around. You know, Awakening and Skies have been their two arguably best players. But will it work out? Will you get a two-man change that makes sense? I don't know. But either way, gotta do something differently. Gotta figure out what it needs to be. On to our 8th place team. It's gonna be the Seattle Surge. Now I said who needs a change, and I put no on Seattle. Now here's the thing. They're sitting in 8th place right now, 6-9 series count. Their map percentage is 45% win rate. They have 70 points, tied with Florida. But this team has been competing, right? They've been competing with the top dogs. They've been competing. They've been, like, fighting. But I don't know what could make them better, right? You have Sib and Pred as a really good sub duo who, I mean, this team just 3-0'd Optic in the first round of the major. Like, that shows something, which was probably a little bit more of a mistake by Optic than a good thing for Seattle. Then you have Mac, who's been really solid, and then you have Accuracy, who's always been a really consistent player. So, again, is it similar to Boston, where unless you can find somebody that would take your team to the next level, what do you do? Maybe you do Mac to a sub, move Sib to an AR. You know, do they want to keep their certain roles because they think they're confident in them? Because at the end of the day, there's 65 points. I think that is not 65. They're 45 points, 55 points. I can't do math today. I think it's 45 points behind 5th place. So if you're looking at top 8, you got to do some big work here. So do I think they make a change? No, unless they feel something else would be a better option than this. I don't know who their sub is offhand. Actually, it's Classic. Would that be a better option? I don't know. But Seattle Surge, do I think they need to make a change? No. Could they? Most definitely. At some way, some point, somehow, they got to be consistent. They got to be at the top. They got to compete to get up to at least 6th place, which is only 10 points. So they definitely could get there. But our bottom 6 teams right now, there's only a 50-point difference. That's only one stage. That's one major. That's all to play for. So our bottom 6 teams, it's basically, I would even say a 5-way race. Like, forget about Paris. I guarantee they're not going to do much. But all the other teams, I think they could. Our next team in 9th place, the team that won the Kickoff Classic, the Toronto Ultra. Do they need a change? Yes. But here's the thing. I don't think you do anything with Insight. I don't think you do anything with Cammy. I don't think you do anything with Kleenex. I think those 3 players are so good that some of them are just underperforming right now. But if you get rid of them, I think you're going to be making a huge mistake. Now, don't get me wrong. The last player we haven't mentioned is Bance. And I'm not just saying that because he's the veteran on the team and he's the oldest and whatever. But you have a young player like Hixie on your bench as a substitute. I feel like just for a similar situation from, what was it, last year or the year before when Insight came in for Methods, right? Is a similar change. Now, is Methods was the problem? No. But I think if you want to move forward, you need some young blood in there. You need something new because 5-10 right now, a 33% series win rate, a 44% map rate, and you're at 60 points. After winning the Kickoff Classic tournament, you're in for a rough spot. But here's the other thing too. They suck at hardpoint. They've lost, I think it's what, 18 or something in a row, or 18 out of 20 in a row. So they haven't been good. They have not been good. So would a change help? Would a roster change help? Or do they just need to figure out how to play hardpoint in this game? I don't know what it is. Do they add? I don't know how many coaches they have, but maybe something needs to relook at it. Watch the top teams that are good at hardpoint and figure it out. But again, is a roster move in the plans as well? Maybe Hixie for Bance. A change similar to Methods. Maybe that will help. Maybe it won't. Is Bance the problem? Probably not. But something needs to change. Something needs to happen in order for this team to get back to the glory that they once knew. Our next team in 10th place, our most recent major hosts. 5-8 though, 22-32 in maps, 50 points on the season. The Minnesota Rocker have not been doing much of anything, if you ask me. But one thing they have been doing is they've been trialing new players. So there is a GM coach. I don't really know what his role exactly is with this team. But they announced that they're going to be trying players. So probably a lot of players from challengers, maybe some substitutes from around the league. But rumor has it that Havoc was joining this team. Now again, rumor has it. So what does that mean? Well, he was on Texas Nation. Texas Nation was a great challengers team, but who knows what that's going to happen there. So, Rocker, you have Standy, Attach, Major Maniac, and Priest right now. On paper, that's a solid team, but again, they've been together. This is one of the teams that stuck through last year, and they haven't really done much since. I felt like this team should have made a change coming from last year. I don't know what it would have been, but this team needs at least one new player. I think one trade that would make sense here, possibly if it made sense for the other team, is trading Priesta to the LA Thieves. Now the reason I say that is this team with Priesta, when it had all those players, Octane, obviously Envoy is a great player, but he has chemistry with the 100 Thieves organization. He's won with 100 Thieves. He's won with Octane and Kenny. I feel like this team could be good. You trade him for Draza, maybe throw some money in there if it, however the contracts work. But maybe you throw some money in there to make this trade go through. But if that trade does go through, let's just say hypothetically it's 1-for-1 Draza for Priesta. Okay? Priesta would then go to LA Thieves. Could run either... Well, that's the other thing, because it kind of, again, Priesta is a flex player, but can also run a sub. So, does he feel comfortable on a sub? Can he run a sub in this game at a high level? You know, what has he been running? Because Attach has been kind of going back and forth between a sub and a flex role there, too. But then you're also getting a flex back. So, a player that hasn't really been playing good on a sub, you're not going to be getting... And where would you put him on your team? Maybe they just put him on your bench right away. Maybe he says, hey, I don't want to go to the bench. I want to be a starter. You know, I'm not even willing to listen to an offer for sitting on the bench. So then maybe try to get rid of him to some other team. Maybe he does go to Paris just to play. Does he go to another team? Who knows? But in that case, you'd have Draza on Minnesota. Again, does that make sense? Does he want to run a sub? Probably not, since he hasn't been doing the greatest with LA Thieves. So a possibility, maybe it's just 1-for-1. Maybe they buy out his contract. I don't know. But Minnesota, the potential new roster with the rumored of Havoc in there. Maybe he's just one of the trial players. But Standy, Havoc, Attach, and Major Maniac. There'd be 2 subs. Attach as a flex and Major Maniac as the AR. Maybe you take Major Maniac out, move Attach to the Maniac, put Priesta as a flex, and maybe even have Havoc in there. You know, I'm not sure what exactly you want to do, but again, this is what the trialing period consists of. You want to get some players in there, get some different looks on some of these maps, see how people feel, see what could work best for this team, and see what could make you, perform literally any better than what you've been doing. Our 11th place team, the New York Subliners, another team that has been struggling, and they figured they'd follow suit along with Minnesota. They've been trialing some new players, but here's the thing. Unless they find a situation or some players that they really, really like, that they really feel strongly in, that they really feel they could compete with, I would stay the same as they are right now. Now, you may be saying that probably isn't the best option, right? Neptune's been struggling. He doesn't get along with Crim6. Crim6 has a problem with Neptune, blah, 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 blah. But this team could be good, right? Hydra, Neptune, Paulex, and Crim6 have been pretty good. Plain and simple, they've been pretty good. Not the greatest, but they've been looking okay to good level. But here's the thing. What do you do with Neptune? He's a good young player, doesn't really fit in this system. Do you try to trade him to somewhere else? Do you trade him to LA Thieves for Draza? You get a flex back. again, that puts you in the same situation. Draza probably wants to run an AR. You have Paul X there. You also have Crim 6 there. Do either Paul X or Crim want to run a sub in this game? I don't know. If anyone would have run a sub, it'd be Draza in that case. It'd be Paul X. And then Neptune would go to LA Thieves and be a sub, right? Or a submachine gun, I should say. Should clarify for so substitute submachine gun. But would that work? Would it not? I don't know. Again, you'd have to you'd have to run some scrims and see, how it would end up with. But if it does stick with its Hydra, Neptune, Paul X, and Crim 6, I think that team does have enough to possibly upset a couple of these teams and then probably squeak in at the last possible second into the playoffs. And then our last team, of course, is the Paris Legion. Do they need a change? Of course they do. But here's the problem. Everyone's like, okay, Paris sucks, Paris sucks, Paris sucks. What do you do to this team? Well, is there any help for them? You just get leftovers. You just try to keep trialing players until something works. Here's the problem, though. Nobody wants to play for them. They don't pay their players for crap. They don't really try. They don't care enough to invest in their team, the coaching staff, or even get good players. What's the change they need? I think you need to head down the road. I think they need to sell their spot, get new owners of this franchise, maybe go to a different franchise, but then try to find owners that will invest in the team, that will invest in trying to field a competitive team. Rather than just waiting until everyone else announces the rosters to be like, all right, well, let's go with these 4 random players, and then boom, let's see if that works out. And then you just stick with that for a while. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Now, I know there's only so much talent in the league, and there's only so much that they're fighting for. But when players would rather stay in challengers than play on a professional team, that says something. It really does. 1, we need expansion. But 2, how does this team attract players? Like, if you're consistently the worst team in the league, you pay your players like crap, you don't really invest in it, you don't really have a team that cares, and it's just 4 players that just go out there and do their own thing, how do you get someone that's a free agent right now or a substitute, be like, hey, come play with our team, you'll be a starter? How do you convince them to get there? Now, you'd have to throw some money at them, but then they're not a team that throws money at players. So, how? Like, it must be like, okay, I didn't get a spot anywhere else, so let's join Paris and hope to do something. But at the end of the day, I think Paris needs to sell their spot. The owners need to get out of there, go to somewhere else, figure out what the heck they want to do, and then get new owners in there, potentially change your franchise. That's extra money on top of it. But hopefully expansion comes in. We get some new squads. We get 4 new teams at least to be 16. And we have a good and happy, healthy league here. And I know we're going to have these good teams like Atlanta and Optic and London, but at the end of the day, we have a lot of good young talent that's still sitting in challengers, a lot of players that are past their prime that just suck now. And Paris is the retirement home, if you will, right? With John, with Temp, not that they're bad players, but John, came back from, was an injury or mental we don't call it mental illness or whatever he was out for. He came back after a while. He still has the talent, but he's on a bad team. So what are you gonna? It's like Aches, great player. He could definitely compete, but just doesn't have a good enough team around him to showcase that he is that great player. So what these teams are gonna do, I have no idea. Other than the LA Guerrillas. There's been a couple of role changes throughout there. There's been nothing confirmed as of April 26th at 2:20 p.m. Unless I check Twitter, but who knows. But that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know of your thoughts and comments. Who should make a change? Who should not make a change? If they are going to make a change, what would it be? Is there trades involved? Is it free agents? Is it substitutes? Is it challengers players? Let me know down in the comments section below. But with all that being said, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe, turn on those post notifications so you never miss an upload, and don't forget, you can always change your mind later. With all that being said, guys, we'll see you
in the shadows.